Blockbusters. You are listening to the Triple B Podcast. Let's fucking go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Triple B Podcast, Bourbon Belts and Blockbusters. I'm Tim, and as you can tell, I am riding solo today. My head's up in the sky, I'm solo. I'm riding solo. I'm riding solo. I'm riding solo. That's right, we are doing a thing this week. Don't have a guest. Ryan's out of town, so we are going to keep the show rolling, and we got a packed agenda for you today. Going over to our bourbon. We're doing a bourbon rehash, so we didn't want to do a new bourbon or cocktail this week. We wanted to just go through one of the best of. So we are going with the Michter's Small Batch. We did this back in the holiday episode, and I gave it a 9. Ryan gave it an 8.5. I just wanted to sip on a nice, simple little bourbon this week. Let's give it a try. It's still so good. It is still so good. It has that sweetness to it. It's very smooth, very easy to drink, has a quick burn towards the back. I'm going to keep my rating the same. We're going to go with a 9 on that. It's just so good. Going over to our socials, you can find us on Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok at TripBPod. We are on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. We are the Triple B Podcast, Bourbon Belts and Blockbusters. And you can give us an email at triplebpod619@gmail.com. We would love to get social with all of y'all. Let us know what you think of the show. Give us some likes, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Want to hear back from you. All right, going over to our talking points. It was supposed to be Ryan's fact check. He skipped out on his turn by going out of town, so I'm taking this one again. So he did provide 1. He tried to provide 2, but his fact check was wrong on that. So cow milking sound. He played a audio clip, attached it to the agenda. I'm not going to play that for you guys, but when listening to it, it sounds like a slurp, which does not come anywhere near what the noises we were making last week. I'm not even going to try to imitate that for you guys, saving your ears. How much was Russ getting paid from the Broncos still? He took a veterans minimum contract last year for the Steelers, very team friendly, but that was because he was still getting paid $53 million from the Broncos last year, and he's getting another $32 million this season. It was a total of $85 million in dead cap money that is getting paid to him, which is the largest ever in NFL history. So Russ is living fine. We played a game last week, and it was Guess Who. He listed Drew Carey as his person that I was trying to guess, and I gave Justin Timberlake. We were asking questions back and forth, and there was just a few that kind of hit where I wanted to get some clarification. I asked him if this person was tall or short. Drew Carey is 5'10", which I believe puts that an inch below Ryan, maybe 2 inches. So definitely shorter, on the shorter side of things. How old is Justin Timberlake? I said young 40s. He's actually 44, so closer to the mid 40s. But if we're feeling generous, that's a young 40, right? Going down to Drew Carey appearances. He listed the Royal Rumble as being a big one. I, for some reason, thought he hosted Monday Night Raw, and in my research, did not see anything about Drew Carey hosting Raw. So it was really a one-off, and then if you count his Hall of Fame speech, it's crazy. I mean, yes, it was iconic. He got to go in the Royal Rumble, but does that deserve a Hall of Fame wing? I guess some of the other ones have done less and gotten in the Hall of Fame, but I digress. Drew Carey animated movies. I asked if he voiced over because he asked one, so I kind of just copied that question and gave it to him, and he said he didn't think so. But that's false. Drew Carey voiced the character Crank in 2005's movie The Robots. It also had Robin Williams in it. And then he also voiced the character on King of the Hill for an episode. I believe it was himself in The Simpsons. So there's a few animated voiceovers going on there. Who did Andrade pull aside from Legado del Fantasma on last week's SmackDown? I thought it was Humberto, and I was correct. I just wanted to clarify that. I guess he goes by Berto now. I guess I missed that. And then we talked about has the Garças had a title shot recently, and the answer is no. They have been in a lot of number one contenders matches, but obviously have not won those. So, no. I really stand on our pedestal that we were saying the Garças deserve a title shot, and hopefully that comes soon with what we'll talk about later on. Asuka's winning streak. I brought this up in the belts question in the week last week. I was saying she would be a good fit to be the next Paul Heyman gal, and I talked about the streak. So that streak was 914 days without a loss. 523 days as NXT champion, and she went 183-0 before taking a loss to Charlotte. So she beat Goldberg's streak and then lost to Charlotte. So she was very dominant when she first got to the WWE, and would love to see her get on another streak, and who better to lead her? Paul Heyman. Last week I brought up the character Roman Bridges from Scream 7 reprising his role, and I said the actor's name was Chris Foley. That is false. His name is Scott Foley. I knew that. I don't know why I said Chris Foley. Maybe I was thinking Chris Farley or something. I don't know. Scott Foley is the correct name for that. And then the network that the 100 was on, we talked about that in Toasted or Trash. And that show was on the CW. I believe we brought up that during that segment, but we weren't 100% sure. It was on the CW, and it ran for 7 seasons. I would have to listen to it back, but I believe Ryan said it went for 6 seasons. So 7 seasons is how long that show ran for. And that's what I got for the fact check. Following up on our Seahawks talk, last week we talked about it was a brutal week for the Seahawks. We lost Geno, we lost Tyler Lockett, we lost DK, among a few others that weren't really notable, but it felt definitely like this team was going towards a rebuild. This week, on the other hand, they start getting active in the free agency. So just listing off some of the things we've done, we've went ahead and signed Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, Josh Jones, DeMarcus Lawrence, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Shamar Jean-Charles, all while picking up some draft picks. We have a visit lined up with an offensive lineman for Tevin Jenkins, and we re-signed Ernest Jones, Jaron Reed, Josh Jobe, and Cody White. So while, yes, we lost a lot of big names for Seahawks, it no longer feels like we are going into that rebuild. Are we in a better place than we were before? That's up for debate. I think there's a lot of upside with Sam Darnold being younger. He's got a very similar skill set to what I believe Geno Smith has. So this could be a really good thing for the Seahawks. And again, capitalizing on some draft picks and draft capital and building towards our future. I wish we were more aggressive for the offensive line, but that's just not the way the Seahawks go. With this visit with Tevin Jenkins, I hope that at least leads to signing him. This, again, is just more exciting with these signs because it doesn't feel like we're giving up. And I think that was the biggest thing that I was disappointed in was we were 10-win team last year, and I thought we were just that one step closer, and when we started getting rid of those people, I was just like, no way, We were so close. Why are we going into a rebuild? And it doesn't feel like that anymore. So positive things. I'm still excited for what we do in the draft. There's still more free agency to go. A lot of the names are obviously off the board, but I'm glad we were aggressive towards the beginning here. Going on to our wellness journey check-in number 16. Ryan's not here, obviously, to give me any of his challenges or anything, but I'll still take you through what I've gone through, so some successes. Again, still very consistent in going to the gym. I'm hitting it 3 to 4 times a week and just being consistent with that. I think that's been the biggest thing. I think last time I talked about it was just getting challenging going to the gym and getting out of the car. I haven't been facing that, so I guess that would be another success. That's been really exciting is I'm still motivated, still going to the gym. Some challenges. We've been very busy with work, so is Haley with school and with work, and so it's just been putting off meals at home, and so there's been a lot of ordering out. So food choices have definitely been a big opportunity for me this past 2 weeks, which leads me to my weight loss. There was no loss or gain. I stayed flat, so I'm still at that 145.8. That said, I'm feeling really good about my body. I'm feeling myself shrinking. It feels good. I'm starting to feel better in my clothes that I got. I'm fitting into some of the clothes that I wasn't fitting into, and I think that has been really great. And so I'll take it as a win and not as a loss because like I said, I'm feeling more confident in how I'm looking. The weight looks like it's coming off. That brings us to bells. All right, Tim, what do you want to talk about? Well, guess what? I'm not going to stick to 5 things like we normally do. I'm going to give you a 10 because I got the mic and you're going to have to listen to every word I say. Plus, Ryan's not here to give his 5, so me. First thing I wanted to talk about was Jey Uso. I think, I was very excited about the Royal Rumble win. He deserves this title shot at WrestleMania. I'm fully on board with that. That said, this feud is starting to get stale. There's not a lot of fire behind it. We're getting a lot of the same promos from Jey Uso, and I want to see more. I want to see more action from Jey Uso. We're going to talk about another feud that saw what I'm asking for. We'll get back to that, but Jey Uso needs to go on the attack. It can't just be Gunther attacking at post matches. The matches that Jey Uso don't seem that big either. They're not like bangers. If you look at Gunther's side of things, he's going against these small guys and taking them lightly, but they've been such good matches, and it's making him look strong. I know it's not making him look dominant, but Gunther is getting these awesome matches, getting wins. He's doing all this trash talking. And we got to remember that Jey Uso's already challenged Gunther for this. They should really be plugging into that part of the feud where he's got to feel less confident about not beating Gunther before and building off that. So Jey needs to go on the offensive, and we need to see that soon, or else this match is going to get lost in the fold. Just my opinion, but I think a lot of people are thinking that. So Jey, come on, man. WWE, book him better. Let's do this because I'm really excited for that. AJ Styles. It looked like we were going to get IC title feud with Braun Breaker, but now it looks like they are pivoting away from that. They're giving Finn Balor that chance, and maybe it's still in line, but from Raw, it looks like they are pivoting towards Logan Paul now, with AJ starting a program with him. I believe this match is going to be good, but I was more excited for the Georgia boys to go at it at WrestleMania. I think that's the money feud right there. Again, I think the Logan Paul and AJ Styles match is going to be good. Going down to Chad Gable. Chad Gable made his Raw return after going on his quest to master the Lucha Libre, and we get him back, or what we perceive to be back, in the LWO versus New Day match. That match was awesome. It was a tornado tag. I didn't know that all tornado tags were no DQ, or maybe they just made that a rule for this one. But regardless, we get Chad Gable in a Lucha Libre mask, and what was super funny was him doing his thank you pose and saying gracias instead of thank you, which was freaking hilarious. Then we fast forward to later in the night, and Kathy Kelly is interviewing him, and he's like, well, that wasn't me. And she started grilling him and going, tell us the truth. It was you. Tell us the dang truth. And then in the background, you see the guy wearing the same outfit with the Lucha Libre mask and going out the arena. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Obviously, wanna dig into what's going on here, but Chad Gable is just the master of balancing the seriousness and humor side of things, and I'm loving this. I'm here for this storyline and looking forward to seeing how it goes going forward. Next up, we got Io, Bianca, and Rhea, the triangle for the women's world heavyweight champion. We get a face-off with Bianca and Io. That's to be expected. Io won the championship. Bianca was next in line. Got to get that feud going, right? Then we get Rhea coming out, and all of a sudden she's blaming Bianca for her loss last Monday. And now I'm confused, because on the promo post-match after she lost the championship, Rhea was saying it was her fault. She got in her head. She's been getting in her head recently, and she's the reason why she lost the championship. You fast forward to this Monday Night Raw, and all of a sudden she's saying Bianca's at fault. Now, I get that that could obviously be a spin on what's happening with Rhea. She's just going into madness. We don't know how she's feeling, but that part is just really confusing to me. I don't get why we're doing that. I'm here for finding a way to get Rhea back in that championship match, and if that's how they do it, so be it. But I didn't like that part of this. But we get Rhea and Bianca disrespecting Io. Rhea and Bianca are going back and forth and just basically treating Io as a non-competitor behind them. She's the champion. And so I was getting irritated with them, but I think that's the point of this whole segment, was to get the fans riled them and go, hey, Io is the champion. We got to take her serious too. And so she got pushed in the face twice and got pushed down, and then she comes back with some wallops on Rhea and Bianca. It was great to see. It really was fun to see Io stand up for herself and take them both out, and I think that just got me right into the thick of things and feeling big things about this storyline. So if they're going to stick with this triple threat, it got me excited towards the end. I wish they would clear up some of this Rhea madness and just let us know what's actually going on there. But if they're going to make it a triple threat, we got to get a creative way to get Rhea into that match. Then, to close out Monday Night Raw, we had the cage match between Rollins and Punk. This was a fantastic main event. I really liked the build-up. Obviously, a long-time feud going since CM Punk was gone. We had some jabs back and forth on social media while Punk was in AEW. Fast forward to Survivor Series when Punk returns. That was like the big focus, was Seth Rollins freaking out on the outside that he returned. So we got really big storyline going into this. This was supposed to be the culmination of that storyline, but in typical WWE fashion, that's not where it's going to end, is it? There was a lot of fantastic things on Raw hyping up this match. So they were showcasing some of the previous cage matches that happened at Madison Square Garden. They had a phenomenal hype video for their match, and I even sent it to Ryan earlier in the day, and he agreed it was a fantastic hype video. I would I'd rank it up in the top 10. I think that was one of the coolest hype videos for sure. And then you get the match itself. It was just, they went at it hard, and you could tell they were heavy breathing. It was a gritty cage fight. There was a lot of cool segments where Seth was opening the door and challenging Punk to walk out. And then there was the part where Punk was about to walk out, and then Seth is on his knees and he's going, if you want to take over the house, you got to come after me. And it was just so good. And then right at the end, when you think the match is going to end, Roman Reigns makes his long-awaited return, pulls out Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins wins the match, but gets a beat down by Roman Reigns. I gotta say, I know I hate on Roman Reigns. I hate that he's such a part-timer. Ryan would agree with that, but God damn it, when he does return, the crowd gets behind it, and it gets me pumped up. It's just like when he's on TV, he does exactly what you need. He gets a reaction, and I thought that part of this night was so cool. The stomps he gave to Rollins was brutal. I would say Reigns has the best curb stomp in the business right now after that one. That was brutal. And then you get Paul Heyman consoling Punk in the ring. You get Roman looking at it. And then he gets in the ring and gives a beatdown to Punk. So it looks like we're getting that triple threat match at WrestleMania. We got Punk, Rollins, Reigns. It's going to be a banger of a match if that's it. They would be really cool if that match led a way to get into another title match. I don't know. Maybe that can happen. But nonetheless, the match itself has the storyline there. I know we talked about Punk really not fitting it, and I still agree to a point, but you got that Paul Heyman tie, you got a favor lingering. In that way, you can kind of circle it together. We still got 5 weeks until WrestleMania, so we still got plenty of time to build Punk and Reigns feuding. The Seth and Roman speak for itself, so we don't need to go into that. But yeah, that was an awesome way to close out Raw. Going over to SmackDown, and holy hell, Barcelona brought it, dude. The crowd is so good. Whenever they do these international shows, it's incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed watching SmackDown all in all, just because of the crowd. When you have a live crowd like that you showed, the show goes by so quickly. And I know we've been complaining about SmackDown over the past, basically right when it went to 3 hours. We were complaining about it's lost its quality. The 2 hours went by really fast before, and then when they went to that 3 hour, it's been a stretch. That first episode of the 3 hour SmackDown I thought was good, and then it was lacking something. So really excited to see the crowd, and we got that going for the next few weeks. We got to talk about Jacob Fatu. That train continues to roll with this guy. He is phenomenal. He got put into the 6-man tag. He went on a beatdown post-match over Braun Strowman. The guy is just so good on the mic. He is so good in the ring. He is the complete package. And I just feel like they need to put him in a big, big storyline now, or else they're just missing the boat on this guy. The crowd is fully behind him. He's got to go to a babyface, in my opinion. It's just the crowd loves him. I think if they try to make him a heel, the crowd is just still going to be behind him. So if that's the way they want to go, but they need to put him into a big storyline for sure. This guy is just crushing it on all levels. Get this man in the title picture. We get Jade Cargill's sit-down interview. So this is one of the first times Jade is speaking up since returning and not attacking someone. And we are just getting more details about what happened. And Jade Cargill reveals that she knew it was Naomi. She saw her running away as the whole incident went down. And then we get Liv and Raquel walking by and laughing and interrupt the interview. And then Liv speaks some truth. She goes on and says, "Why did you let this go on for so long? You knew. Why are you letting me take the blame?" And I don't question her on that at all. Like, if Jade knew all along that it was Naomi, why did it take this long? Like, that part made no sense to me. It's not like they said Jade was in a coma and she woke up right before Elimination Chamber. She's not dead. So what are we missing here that she knew who attacked her like right away? It wasn't like any video reveal or anything. And that to me just makes no sense. But this is leading up to a match now with Jade and Liv. So this will be first match back for Jade. So that's exciting. We'll want to see how she does solo in the ring because we haven't got a lot of that. The only thing that I can think would make this better at all is just, again, making Bianca part of this and having Naomi doing it on Bianca's behalf. Like, the whole segment last week was a ruse. Naomi's taking the fall for Bianca while Bianca's going for the title. And then post WrestleMania, we get more reveals that Bianca was the mastermind behind everything, leading to that Jade and Bianca feud. Unless, again, somehow pull Bianca out of the title picture at WrestleMania and get her back to Jade. I don't see that happening, but we'll see. Now, like I alluded to earlier with Jay, we're finally getting some steam behind the Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton feud. It's lighting up now. This is exactly what it needed. It's still not where it needs to be, for sure, but SmackDown took a big step in building this feud. So Charlotte had a match with B-Fab. I gotta say, that match was killer, dude. B-Fab is improving so much in the ring. I don't think she gets enough time in the ring from what I've seen, but what we saw last night was a great first match back for Charlotte, and it was a great match for B-Fab to show her improvements. I like that it wasn't a complete dominance for Charlotte, that it wasn't a complete squash match. They let B-Fab shine, but post-match is really where things took off. So Charlotte beats B-Fab down post-match, gets her into the figure eight, and Tiffany Stratton comes out to a huge crowd ovation. She goes on the attack finally. It's been Charlotte going on the attack of Tiffany, and they haven't been that brutal. Sans the last one, I would say, was the best Charlotte attack, but the other ones, not so much. So Tiffany comes out, and it was almost like the Seth Rollins CM Punk brawl across Monday Night Raw last week, and this was very similar. It was just they couldn't keep them separated. You can finally feel that anger in Tiffany Stratton. We got some swanton bombs onto security guards in Charlotte, and then we fast forward, and it's right before Miz TV, and they're brawling back on stage, and Tiffany gets taken down. The security are pushing Charlotte back, and then the next thing you know, Tiffany's on top of the stage and diving onto him. It was a sick way for Tiffany to get the upper hand into this feud. They need to really build off of this momentum for sure. It was a fantastic way to get this feud going in the right direction. Like I said, it's not where it needs to be. I'm not fully invested in this match, but this was a big step in that direction, and I absolutely think that something similar needs to happen with Jey Uso and Gunther. Next, I want to talk about two new vignettes that showed up on SmackDown. We had Rey Fenix, or what we assume is going to be Rey Fenix debut soon. And then we also had a mysterious four show up in a video with black and smoke going on. I swear I saw a face in one of those smoke clouds that was coming up, but I'm leaning towards Aleister Black on that. I think that's the general consensus on that. I know we talked about that on a couple episodes ago, that we think that Aleister's coming back to WWE because he's no longer with AEW. And it would only make sense for him to come on home to WWE. Regardless, just really excited about these two vignettes. We're excited to get Rey Fenix, hopefully, obviously teaming up with Penta. It only makes sense. Get the Lucha Bros. And then getting Aleister Black, maybe in that Judgment Day faction, maybe on his own. Either way, I know Triple H is a big fan. He's the one running the show. Big things ahead for Aleister Black, if that is who, in fact, is coming back. Next up, Street Profits are our new tag team champions. They won last night against DIY. They finally won the big one. It's been years and years. It's been a long time coming. The match was phenomenal. It was a back and forth affair and did not know where it was going. I assumed this match was going to end in a no contest, but once again, Tim is wrong. Every time he guesses something or assumes he knows something, it doesn't happen. So you just assume I got to go against what I said previously. So no interference. It was a straight match and Street Profits come out on top. Few things I want to just top off with this was Tessitore has been an amazing signee on the announcing team. He has called all these big moments and he does a phenomenal job. I'm so ecstatic that he's part of the team, and last night did not disappoint. He called that moment so perfectly. Then my last point about this, I thought I was leaning towards some interference in this match because I thought it would be a bigger payoff for Street Profits to win it at WrestleMania. I'm not disappointed that they did win, though, because they deserve it. They're a team that deserves it. Now I just am confused at how this is going to play out in WrestleMania. We got a lot of good teams that have been feuding together leading up to last night, and I thought that was going to continue. And now I guess we'll see what happens between Pretty Deadly and now the Street Profits, who are tag team champions. I'm sure DIY is going to put their hats in the table and say, hey, we get a rematch, and that would make sense to me. So there's still a lot that can happen with this. So I'm not out of it, but I thought it would be a bigger moment for Street Profits to win at WrestleMania, but still ecstatic that it did happen. And lastly, just want to bring up some loose ends. Not going to go into big on this, but Cody Rhodes came out both on Raw, SmackDown, and he wants Cena to show up on the show. I think all of us fans want to see more of Cena, especially after what happened at the Elimination Chamber. We want to see more of Cena on this farewell tour. I did like Miz's jab at Cody Rhodes and saying he got beat up by two great rappers, that being Travis Scott and John Cena. That one made me laugh out loud. And then we also got Paul Heyman out on SmackDown, speaking on behalf of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is going to return to SmackDown next week. He was taking jabs mostly at Rollins, but he did take a few at CM Punk as well. I was curious of how that was going to play out because of Paul Heyman consoling Punk on Raw. So we're going to see where this goes. But again, it looks like we're getting that triple threat at WrestleMania. So this definitely murkies the water and gets CM Punk more involved into this feud, which we got to be excited for. That brings us to Banger of the Week. I got Punk versus Rollins in the cage match. This week was actually really tough to pick just one, but Ryan made it very clear we got to pick only one. So I think this one does the most to build towards WrestleMania. It felt big, and then you add Roman Reigns into that, and you got a great story going on. So, great match, great crowd. You got a great story behind the match, and then post-match everything was great. The other runner-ups, though, that I did have was Julia versus Stephanie Vaquer in the NXT main event of Roadblock. We got a new champion in Stephanie Vaquer. She's now double champion, but that match was incredible. There was just spots left and right that just had me going, whoa, wah, hoo, huh. And I was fine with whoever won that. I think Julia's injured, and that's why we went with Stephanie as winning that match, but it was a banger. And then there was Axiom versus Gunther. Gunther just really does well with these smaller guys. It was fun to have Axiom, aka the A-Kid, come out at Barcelona. That's his home country in Spain. And so that was exciting. That match was just quick back and forth. You kind of believed that Axiom could win in a sense, but Gunther definitely came out on top. You got the Street Profits versus DIY. You got Moose versus Oba Femi. You got Ospreay versus Fletcher in the cage at the AEW pay-per-view of Revolution. This was a great week in wrestling match and storyline telling overall, but I got to lean towards Punk versus Rollins in the cage match. That brings us to the belts question of the week. I posed this for myself. What is one match that on paper looks like you could skip it, but it actually ended up being great or entertaining? Because I posed this, I obviously had a match in mind, and what that match is the WeLC match at Extreme Rules 2014. It was El Torito versus Hornswoggle, and this match had no business being as good as it did. It had humor. It had awesome, memorable moments throughout the match. It was on the pre-show, so that's how memorable this match was. It was something that you could have easily missed because it was on the pre-show. It wasn't with big characters, but just because they had the TLC gimmick to the match, I definitely wanted to watch it, and I was not disappointed in that. Would love to hear any ideas that you guys have on a match that you felt was underrated, that most people probably skipped, but you really enjoyed. That brings us to Blockbusters. Bow, 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 bow. We got a few movies here for you. Starting off with Freakier Friday. This is the follow-up to the beloved Disney movie Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. So, synopsis goes, this summer is about to get freakier. The story picks up after Tess and Anna endured an identity crisis. Anna now has a daughter of her own and a soon-to-be stepdaughter. As they navigate the myriad challenges that come when two families merge, Tess and Anna discover that lightning might indeed strike twice. Again, cast is Jamie Lee Curtis, Lindsay Lohan. We got a returning Chad Michael Murray. The release date for this is in August 8th, and this is going to be out in the theaters. The trailer for this looks hilarious. If anything, it's more just for the nostalgia of the first one. That's what I'm excited about. I know there's a lot of excitement behind this. And for once, it's not just a live-action remake of a beloved one. Then we got a sequel to a really good Disney movie. So, excited for this one. Hope all of you are as well. Next up, we got Psychotherapy. Synopsis of this is, a writer befriends a retired serial killer in a desperate attempt to find inspiration for his next novel and save his marriage. Covering as his marriage counselor, the killer teaches him his methods as reality becomes deadlier than fiction. We got the cast of Steve Buscemi, Britt Lower, and John Margaro. The release date for this is April 11th. It's going to have a limited release out in the movie theaters, but mainly video on demand. So you can catch that on April 11th right away. The trailer looks phenomenal for this. This is just, you got obviously a serial killer in Steve Buscemi working with this couple. He catches this guy and says he's going to help write his book and give him inside thoughts on how to write this novel and get behind the eyes of a serial killer. But then his wife catches on to this, that he's working with a therapist, and she mistakenly thinks he's getting a marriage counselor. And then you can see where this all gets confusing. But then you start seeing where it looks like the husband and wife are trying to what appears kill each other, or they're under the impression that one another is going to kill each other. So it looks like a fun, complicated mess. Really excited for this one. Again, April 11th release date. Next up, F1. Not a huge fan of car movies, but something about this trailer got me really excited. It might be because the director is of Top Gun Maverick, and the trailer seems kind of familiar with the kind of plot of it and what happened in Top Gun Maverick. So maybe that's why I'm excited for this one. But the synopsis goes as: dubbed as the greatest that never was, Sonny Hayes was Formula One's most promising phenom of the 1990s until an accident on track nearly ended his career. 30 years later, he's a nomadic racer for hire when he's approached by his former teammate Ruben Cervantes, owner of the struggling Formula One team that is on the verge of collapse. Ruben convinces Sonny to come back to Formula One for one last shot at saving the team and being the best in the world. He'll drive alongside Joshua Pierce, the team's hotshot rookie, intent on setting his own pace. But as the engines roar, Sonny's past catches up with him, and he finds that in Formula One, your teammate is your fiercest competition, and the road to redemption is not something you can travel alone. Cast is Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Carrie Condon, Tobias Menzies, Kim Bodnia, and Javier Bardem. The release date for this is June 27th, and it's coming to theaters. Again, the trailer definitely has me sold on this. Again, I'm not a huge car racing movie fan, but I'm very invested in this one, and I think it's just because it's eerily similar to plot points of the Top Gun movies, and it kind of carries that over. The shots that you get of the racing looks intense, and it got some beautiful shots of like fireworks going on during races. So really excited for this one. Going over to series now, we got Your Friends and Neighbors. This is going to be a show on Apple TV Plus. Release date of April 11th. We got a lot of April 11th releases coming on. But the synopsis of this is: after being fired in disgrace, Andrew Cooper, a hedge fund manager still grappling with his recent divorce, resorts to stealing from the homes of his neighbors in the exceedingly affluent Westmont Village, only to discover that the secrets and affairs hidden behind those wealthy facades might be more dangerous than he ever imagined. Cast is John Hamm, Amanda Peet, Olivia Munn, Hoon Lee, Mark Tallman, and Lena Hall. The trailer for this looks so good. John Hamm is a great actor, so I'm sold on just that. It's on Apple TV Plus, so we know it's going to be a good show. But just the premise of being a guy in a neighborhood and stealing from your neighbors, it looks like a more serious version of Good Girls. It was a show on TV, and it was just like these stay-at-home moms, and then they go into crime, and it just kind of feels kind of like that. It sounds like it's already approved for a season 2, so we'll at least get 2 seasons of this show already, even before the first one comes out on TV. That brings us to Black Mirror Season 7. I'm going to be open and honest, I have not watched any of Black Mirror, but I did watch the trailer for this new season upcoming, and I gotta say, it looks incredible. It got me invested and wants me to go back. I want to go back and watch the first 6 seasons. I know they're not that long of seasons, and they're really just kind of stories on each episode, so it's not like you have to watch all of it, but this trailer definitely has me excited for that. But that said, going into the synopsis for this, Lose Your Mind, Lose Your Reality. The Emmy Award-winning series returns with 6 new stories. Nothing is as it seems. The cast is just all-star ensemble. Obviously, they're going to play parts in different episodes, but some of the notable names is Christina Milioti, Paul Giamatti, Rashida Jones, Awkwafina, Will Poulter. The release date for this is April 10th, and the platform is going to be on Netflix. Again, never seen the show before. Heard a lot of great things about it, and that has me pumped up to see this show, and I'm going to definitely be starting the series very, very soon. That brings us to our segment of Fred, which is follow-up, rumors, and early development. First up, got I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream 7. Both movies have officially wrapped up filming, so that means we are in the home stretch for these to be released. Big fan of these franchises, as you all know. So just getting more and more excited about how close we are getting to being able to see these movies. So very excited about that. Next up, Conjuring Last Rites. This is going to fall under that rumor category, but the rumor is that the last bit of this movie, specifically 30 minutes is what I read, will be playing homage to The Exorcist. And there is one scene that is set to surpass the infamous spider walk scene from that movie. That's big shoes to fill, but if any movie franchise can do it, it's going to be The Conjuring. So bring it on. I'm ready for that scene. Again, the release date for this is coming up in September of this year. I say it can't come soon enough. Next up, Ted Lasso Season 4 is official. It is officially confirmed. He's set to coach again for Season 4, and this time he's coaching a women's soccer team. Not much other details other than it being confirmed, but that's all I need because the first 3 seasons of Ted Lasso were phenomenal. I will say that Season 3 really ended and felt like a good ending to the series, but I really enjoyed those 3 seasons, so I am welcoming of this Season 4. So, again, something to be excited about. And lastly on this, some early development, or maybe it is fully filmed, but we don't have a trailer or anything on it, but we got the next movie in the Knives Out mystery franchise. It's called Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. This follows The Glass Onion and previously Knives Out. Benoit Blanc returns in his most dangerous case yet is the tagline. The cast that has been announced is Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, Daryl McCormick, and Thomas Hayden Church, and of course Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. That's set for a Netflix release later this year. No official date yet, but big fan of mystery movies. The first 2 were awesome movies, so this is, I'm hoping, following in great footsteps there. And that brings us to the Blockbusters question of the week. Again, I pose this for myself because there is no Ryan here. My question for myself is, what movie had you rewatching it over and over again, looking for clues or Easter eggs because something egged you on to do so? And the movie that had me feeling this way was The Blair Witch 2: Book of Secrets. And me and my buddy Alex went out and got that movie pretty close to release date on DVD. We watched it at his place, and remember really enjoying the movie. I would love to go back and watch it because I haven't watched it since then, and that was forever ago. But then we started digging into the special features, and there was this feature that was like talking about all these like Easter eggs and clues in that movie, and we kept going back to the movie, rewatching it and looking for those and going, oh my god, we saw it, or oh wait, no, did we miss it? And then going back, it was like literally going back and forth between the special features and that. Just remember having a lot of fun with that. I'm not even convinced that what they were talking about in the special features actually made it in the movie, but the movie had us just digging for more clues just because it was just kind of one of those like made to believe like it was a true story, and so we were just really digging into that part of it. It was fun, and it sticks as a memorable moment in my movie history of watching, and that's why I put that for this question. Well, guys, it's a quick episode. I know there was not a lot of back and forth, obviously, without Ryan, but I thought, the show must go on, guest or not, and I hope you enjoyed. What a great week in wrestling. We got a lot of upcoming blockbusters to get excited for, so cheers to you guys.
Let's